small burn, and how can I say, biscuit on the side of the dish. So you alternate one bite of that and one broth, and you have the perfect grilled fish. In the biscuit, the fish are raw. In the broth, the fish are grilled. But the grilled fish are we are extracting the broth and just the flavor. Mediterranean soul is about transforming the seawater into paper, because in the beginning we want to do like a papillote. So in the papillote you have like tomato, capers, olives, lemon, but one of the most important thing in the palate is the balance. The balance between things that, like I was explaining yesterday night with the Parmigiano, no? You know, if you cut the Parmigiano too thick and you put a little bit of balsamic vinegar, it's all about Parmigiano. But if you slice the Parmigiano very thin and you pour a few drops of balsamic vinegar, the balance is perfect, exactly in this. So the paper was perfect, just few cut papers on the top of the sole that is going to be a sole in papillote, or maybe a sole that is grilled, because at the end we decide to burn the paper as an artist from 1950 was doing. You know, in 1950 in Italy there was two incredible artists. One is called Fontana, that was cutting the canvas, and one is called Burri, that he was burning the canvas. So we burn the paper, and we burn the seawater, transforming into paper, and we serve the sole that tastes like grill, but also sole under salt, but also sole in papillote. So we compress Italian tradition into one dish. Okay? So we have autumn in New York. Autumn in New York is an extremely important dish because it's resetting everything and resetting your palate. It's a dish that it travels in time and space. We change this recipe every time we travel because it represents the stand in the market in the season where we are. So the first time we did that in New York, in a dinner we did with Dave Chang at Co. And I was walking on between at the Union Square Market with listening to Billie Holiday. So in that moment, me and Davide, we decided to create Autumn in New York. So giving Autumn in New York as a stand in Union Square Market. And that time there was like pumpkin, mushroom, blueberry, roots, stuff like that. So, but in the spring, you know, later in the spring, we have to go in Kyoto. And we miss something in the middle of the menu. And we decide to do Autumn in New York, Spring in Kyoto. Because Billie Holiday didn't sing Autumn in New York, just in autumn and in New York. So the point is that, you know, Autumn in New York is the idea. But the expression that we do is in time, so the season that we are, and the place where we are. So Modena, Girona, or Lima are totally different. So that's the point. It's the mental palate of the chef that is creating this dish. In the countryside, see, this is a landscape. This is inspired by the place where we were today. Under the vineyard, you can find everything, especially early in the morning. From young reindeer, snails, pheasants, you know, everything. And you know, the big problem is the hunting season, you know, and but because they're coming directly in there to get these animals, and so the idea is to create a raviolo as a container of idea. In the raviolo, we put the Bocuse civet of air, so it's a blood inside the raviolo. As a ragu, the snails, and on the top, the fresh leaves. Why? Because after the season, in my mind, we have the explosion of the spring and then the summer. The snails are everywhere, and they are eating the leaves, and especially the fresh leaves. And in my mind, there's also the last traces of the blood from the hunting season. So I get that blood, I put inside the raviolo, so the French cuisine inside the classic Italian cuisine, with a ragu of snails and fresh leaves on the top. Then we have this pigeon that is served with camouflage. Camouflage, hi Lara.
Hi. Good.
Camouflage as a camouflage of sauces. So you, through the sauces, you travel all over the world. And there is a pigeon and then a partridge. But the partridge is in one meatball. And with on the top of the meatball, all the same sauces that we dehydrated and we put on the top of the meatball. Why? Because we show that the contemporary cuisine is also good and healthy. And we know exactly that using butter to shine the sauces is one of the worst things you can do now, because it's like you get so heavy and things. So it's like we can create amazing cuisine, not using fat, but using just our technique. And partridge is into the meatball, and after that we get together partridge, pigeon, and the mallard interiors, and we create a tartatin to break the border between sweet and savory. Then also the eggplant between Noto and Istanbul. So we get the all roses and flavors from the camouflage. We get it into the eggplants, and we transform the camouflage into a Mediterranean flavor that is like almond, roses, eggplants, as a Greek ancient idea. And to play with the border between sweet and savory, we have Wagyu no Wagyu. We travel all over the world. It's the same thing of spaghetti alla bolognese, no? Spaghetti alla bolognese doesn't exist. And we transform spaghetti alla bolognese into a lasagna to show that to rejoin spaghetti and bolognese sauce, we have to transform the spaghetti into a lasagna. And it's exactly the same thing. You travel all over the world, you find Wagyu here, Wagyu there, Wagyu there on the other side. It doesn't taste anything, So what we did is like, okay, let's do something like that and transform this idea of what it is and what it looks like. So we got this belly from suckling pig, and we all wrapped into maple syrup, and we cook very low, very low. Then the art, and the art we leave under salt and sugar, and we cook like exactly in the same way. Then we start slicing belly and heart, belly and heart, belly and heart, and we transform belly and heart of a suckling pig into Wagyu beef, and we compress it in vacuum pack, and we leave a couple of weeks. At that point, it's getting very, it's getting firm, and we slice it very thin as it was Wagyu, and so it's like belly and heart, cost 25 cents. So we get with the onion, and we burn the onion, and we create a panzu sauce, and we serve as shabu shabu as a dessert. So you're gonna have as a dessert belly, heart, and onion. That is like the really typical elements for a poor cuisine, the classic poor cuisine of Modena, like la cucina povera, no? And you're gonna close everything with a tribute to Amalfi Coast. That is not is a baba, but is a baba, totally different. You're gonna taste tomorrow night all this incredible product. Barlotti, the best producer of buffalo mozzarella and ricotta, buffalo ricotta, he just arrived. He delivered the ricotta, and it's gonna go on the top of the baba. Some salt and vanilla. The fresh tomato that Giovanni Sante brought are infused into strawberry juice, and he's gonna put on the top. Then we burn the oranges and the lemon and we're gonna grate it on top of that. So it's like tributo to Amalfi Coast. Okay? Thank you very much. We're gonna